Hi, Ken Schwartz of Precise Sharpening, and this is the second in this series where I'm going to be demonstrating a sequence of natural stones for doing some work on this particular knife. Again, the knife, it's Moritaka. It has been previously ground pretty coarsely. At this point, it's quite dull, so we will need to establish an edge as well. So let's go from there and we'll start in on it. So the stone has been previously soaked and we're going to start, and my primary interest at this point is to see how well it removes the diamond scratch pattern that was on the blade as I initially received it. And so initially I'm basically pressing down on here and doing pretty much of a zero grind, but I do know that initially I won't quite be touching the edge, but that's okay because what I want to be doing is retexturizing, if you will, this surface and giving me a chance to work my way down towards producing an edge, and in the process remove some of the initial small bevel or micro bevel type bevel that was on the edge of this stone, on the edge of this knife. So let's see how we're doing here. Okay, and already we are starting to see some contrast, some removal, and we can compare that to this other side, which has no contrast at all. All right, so we are seeing some contrast, but again, still quite a bit of the initial scratch pattern on the knife. So let's keep going for a while. And again, this stone does generate some mud, and that mud will be helpful in terms of taking out the scratches. It actually will increase the rate of abrasiveness for a stone of this level of coarseness. I'm not going to a coarser stone at this point because, again, my primary interest is in reducing the scratch pattern. But if it turns out that I need to do actually some more metal removal, then I may have to go with something coarser. But this should be a good start. And I'm pressing fairly firmly on this initially. And then occasionally bringing the mud back over the whole surface of the stone to take advantage of some mud buildup. Okay, so let's see how this is looking. Okay, much better. I'm still going to work on it some more. Now, I could probably have gone coarser and gotten rid of the initial scratch pattern more quickly, but didn't have to work on the subsequent result of that with yet another stone, so this seems like a reasonable starting point. And while it is providing some degree of contrast, it's really not my goal at this point to be getting contrast. that I'll be doing as I initiate this sequence of sharpenings with the Kyushu Amora stones. You can see the mud has gotten a bit thicker. Start putting a little less pressure on. You can hear, if you listen carefully, that when I get a little more mud buildup, the sound of the stone becomes a bit quieter as I have that sort of mud cushion to work with. And that also will give me a little finer finish. So you can hear, like over here, where the mud is thicker, versus over here, where it's thinner. Thicker, thinner. Okay, so let's see how we're doing here. Okay, a little bit over here that could stand some more work too. Concentrate on that area for a moment. Okay, so let's look at where we are so far. I do feel burr on the back side, and on the front side I'm already starting to develop a nice contrast, which is a characteristic of a lot of the Nubatama stones. The scratches on it are fairly uniformly going in this direction and fairly uniform. So most of the scratches have been taken out. I purposely haven't done the other side so you can see the difference. So if we look on this side, you can see almost zero contrast. Still some pretty big scratches floating around in there. Quite the improvement. So we're going to be getting some of these scratches out next and developing a little bit more of the contrast that's more typically associated with the natural stones, but as you can see, this plays very well as a starting point to work with other natural stones. Again, this is the Nubatama stone. That's the Ume or Plum series and the 180 grit stone. Thank you very much, and we'll continue on in the next video.